an Italian thing, rolling your R. I keep trying to learn it. What is today's scripture really about if we don't use all those R's? Or maybe we use a different R. Forgiveness.
Love.
Love.
Restoration.
Restoration. Oh, that's a big R word. Who's that? Who's that?
Grace.
Grace.
Relationships.
Relationships. It's very rare that we find a passage like this in Scripture where Jesus is saying to folks, don't come to church. You need to go fix something first. It's amazing, awesome, joyful that we have a God who cares so much about us and so much about our relationships. Really? Did you ever think about that? God cares about our relationships so much that God says, you know what? Leave your gift at the altar. What I find interesting about that statement is God doesn't say, take your gift with you and go home and get reconciled. God says, leave your gift at the altar, make sure the pastor sees that it's there. No, it doesn't. Leave your gift at the altar. And if there's a brother or a sister that something is awry with, that something is out of right relationship with, go fix that. Go fix that. Because that's what kingdom building is about. That's what being my disciple is about. There's nothing else that matters but relationship. When I read this passage, I was pretty sure none of us here had committed murder. I think that's true. Although I did have a brother who committed murder. I told you that story, didn't I? When he threw rocks at the pollywogs and then went and confessed he was a mass murderer. Of course, those are the days, those of us who were raised in a different faith, where we sat in a little box with the pastor between us, and you tried really hard not to listen to the other person's words. You do that la 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 thing, but not so much, because I always wanted to hear what my brother had to say. So I'm pretty sure none of us have committed murder. And yet the message is, if something's not right, if there's bad feeling, if there's some degree of separation, if there's something lacking, it's so important that we fix that. It seems in our world today, there's a lot of people not so much concerned about relationship. More concerned about power, maybe. More concerned about self-interest. But that's not who we are called to be. We are called to be God's lovers. We're called to be God's lovers. The people that step into the gap that they didn't create, that somebody else created, and wanted someone else to fall into. I don't know why. But if we hold hands and step across the gap, and even if we have to go down the chasm, we hold hands and make sure nobody gets lost, then we create a whole different reality. We stand as sign and symbol and disciples of a reality that says no gaps. no missing links, nobody gets swallowed up, nobody doesn't count, everybody matters. How many news stories have we all seen this week where people were stepping into the gap in flooded rivers, in mountainsides where somebody fell down, rescuing people from this situation or that situation? And almost all of those times, if you were the one doing the rescuing, you didn't even know who the person was you were rescuing. You only knew there was somebody there who needed you to rescue them. That's what we're called to. We're not called to forget about people, to not see people, to close our eyes, to say, it's okay, I haven't talked to my brother in a while. It's okay, my cousin and I disagree on just about everything political we might disagree on. It's okay, my aunt stopped speaking to me 20 years ago when I got married to the woman I love. We're called to leave whatever gifts we have and whatever gift we are at the altar. Yes, we'll come back and claim it. We'll come back and offer it. But we're called for the moment to leave it and go find that person or those persons that we left behind or that left us behind. And maybe we do this in person, and maybe we do this in some kind of spiritual way. Not everybody wants to be reclaimed. But we are persons of reconciliation. Persons that hold out not just the olive branch, but the open hand that says, I will never strike you with this hand. It will only always be a hand that helps you. I had to search through my closet this morning to find my safety pin from 2 weeks ago. Do y'all know where yours are? Yes. Because I'm not seeing them.
Because we know everybody's safe here.
That's not the point. The point is when we leave here, other people need to know that they're safe with us. We're called to that. We're called to that. I heard from Reverend Leslie Etheridge this week. Actually, I heard from her a lot this week. And one of the things she told me was she had read one of the passages in my book. It was on the legacy of Martin Luther King. And I wanted to remind folks today that this is Black History Month. And a bunch of UCC pastors around the country on Facebook, somebody started it and then we all added our 2 cents. So it's probably about $1.44 there at the end. Who are some of your heroes and sheroes from our Black history? Who are some of our heroes and sheroes?
Nate Turner.
Who?
Nate Turner?
Mae Turner?
No, Nate.
Nate Turner. Okay.
Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday. Who is it?
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Overcame a lot.
George Washington Carver. Thank you for peanuts.
James Baldwin.
James Baldwin. Langston Hughes. Whoopi Goldberg.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman. What about Sojourner Truth?
Yeah.
Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? Randy?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
Michelle Obama.
Michelle.
Maya
Maya Angelou.
Ellen
Toni
DeGeneres.
Morrison.
Martin
Loretta
Luther
Scott
King
King.
Jr.
Oh, really?
Really? Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Ella Fitzgerald. Did we run out already? What about Malcolm X? What about the voices from the 60s and the 70s?
Angela Davis.
All kinds of voices.
Ruby Bridges.
All kinds of voices.
And we might not be as famous, but us sitting here,
You're a hero or shero?
well, we are as we reach out to others, in others' eyes, we may be. To a homeless person, we may be. We just are not famous.
Yet.
You know, I saw something on my little meditation channel this morning that said, it may seem that what you're about to do is incredibly insignificant, but it's really critically important that you do that thing. And I think we sometimes, you know, think about that a little bit differently. We kind of think, well, what I'm doing is not so important.
We are that ripple, we are that pebble.
The pebble that starts the ripple. Yeah, the ripple that goes out, not only across the pond, but through the universe. Yeah. And so, when I think about the legacy, particularly of Martin Luther King, I went back and found that passage that Reverend Leslie was talking about. And I think it works so well with what we're to be about. It's called the struggle of love, the struggle to love in the face of meanness. I cannot even imagine what it was like to start a march where you know people were coming with dogs trained to tear at your flesh, with billy clubs meant to harm you in ways that could be forever damaging, with all that stuff, and yet to say, no, we need to do this because there is not yet justice here. To love in the face of meanness. There's so much rhetoric out there in today's news where it seems someone is always trying to out-mean someone else. Is that not true? So that we end up with all kinds of meanness spilling into our lives. I mean, think about the TV shows and the movies that are out right now. Is there anything we watch that's not mean? Gosh, it's hard to find that. So I'm choosing to step away from that meanness and to listen instead to a voice of love. Love not as an ideal or rose-colored lens through which to view the world. Love more realistically as a struggle. A struggle not because someone else is not perfect, but because I am not perfect. A struggle because our human condition is fraught with all kinds of booby traps and obstacles to prevent our loving. A struggle because, try as I might, I miss the mark each day to love as I've been loved. A struggle because I have to fight my tendency to get down on myself and then to give up on another and on me. A struggle to remember that age-old wisdom that someone is doing the best he or she can at this given moment. That's a struggle. Think about those really frustrating, irritating, annoying, and any other word you can put after that moments. And to remember at that moment that is, find me a nice word here, unhappy as that other person might be, it's the best he or she can do at that moment. Think about that the next time somebody's really on your last nerve. And remember, that's the best they can do. Think about what space they must be in if that's the best they can do at that moment, because we are not created to be mean to each other. We are created to love each other. And boy, when we screw it up, something's wrong. And we leave our gift at the altar. A struggle when so many others in our world would rather spew venom than live compassion. I gotta say, I don't get that. But I think if somebody's in that space, they're in a really bad place. And Hannah says at that moment we need to give them grace, and I think that's what we need to give them. And give ourselves some grace if we snap back before we can stop ourselves. It's a struggle to love even those folks, the spewers of venom, because we are called to love everyone, not just those who agree with us or with whom we agree. I think that's going to be one of our biggest struggles right now. Still, I accept this struggle as mine. I agree to struggle on because at the end of the day, or even in the next moment, it becomes strikingly clear to me how much better I feel when I love than when I fall short of love. As we think about Martin Luther King Jr., the great drum major of love, may we continue the struggle to love. For when the day is done, or our life is over, there is really no other measure of who we were in the world. None of the rest of it matters. And so, to build on what Mary Zubas said in our opening prayer, I wish you all the joy that comes with the struggle to love.